Hey, what's going on? So it's been a fair while since I made a video and a lot has happened in that time. Basically, when I last made a video, we were still sort of in like the worst of the coronavirus lockdown because that was sort of, I think it was like mid-April or early April that I last filmed. Basically, since then, things obviously got a little bit better in Melbourne, less cases of coronavirus. People were able to go out and do more stuff again. Like obviously I've been out shooting and stuff. You've been keeping up with me on Instagram. So yeah, obviously we've been out, creating content and actually shooting and doing a bit more stuff that I want to do again. And now, yesterday I actually finished uni for the semester. So I have a lot more time on my hands and a lot more freedom to be able to do stuff. Except we received the news that we sort of were dreading and knew was coming sort of because of what's been going on recently, but in the last week and a half or so, coronavirus has spiked up again here in Melbourne specifically, not just in all of Australia, but literally just in Melbourne, which is where we are obviously. And that means that for the next 6 weeks now, we've been told that we're going back into lockdown, which means no more shooting with other people, no more shooting at all, I think, because we're not supposed to leave the house unless we're doing sport, shopping, or caring, or work if we absolutely have to. Yeah, but that basically comes into effect tonight at 11:59 p.m, or basically on Thursday, the 9th of July, which gives us 14 hours now to go out and try to get 6 weeks worth of content to post, basically. Which is actually what I'm going to do today. I'm going to bring my girlfriend Hannah with me, who is currently getting ready in the bathroom back there. And we're going to go to a few locations, just the two of us, of course. We're not going to see anyone else. We're not going to go anywhere with anyone else. It's just going to be the two of us, which is fine because we basically live together anyway. I want to try and create a cinematograph inspired by a guy on Instagram called @Pangea, who does a lot of like cinematograph loopy sort of stuff, which is just sick, I reckon, and I want to try and recreate one of those. And we're probably just going to go check out a few spots that I've been wanting to go to anyway, and now basically have no time to go to in the next 6 weeks. Well, I have plenty of time to go there, but I can't go there. So we're gonna go to a few different spots and try to just get as much content as we can to last me the next 6 weeks. So I'm gonna just shut up and get going because we're really running out of time here.
Looks like it's gonna be a great day today to get some fresh air like a stray on a straightaway. Hey, you got a light? Nah, a Bud Light.
Okay, so Hannah's behind the camera right now. We've managed to get to the location, as you can see, which is looking very nice. It's pretty sick in here. I've got my Z6 here with the 7200 on. I'm filming on my old camera right now. But what I'm going to do is get Hannah to stand sort of towards the middle of this. I'm going to start off zoomed in all the way at 200mm, take a photo, and then sort of like move forward a little bit, go up to like maybe 180mm or something, basically just to step. So obviously the echo in here is pretty bad. Sorry about that. That's why I'm trying to keep my voice down because I know it's probably amplified by all this. But basically what I was saying is I'm going to start off zoomed all the way into 200mm, take a photo, zoom out to maybe 180, 190, whatever, 170, 160, like zoom out basically every time I take a step forward, and then keep the focus on Hannah, keep her centered in the middle of the frame, and that way it should sort of create like a dolly zoom effect, which is where you move forward but then the zoom moves back. So it's pretty trippy, but hopefully it works. We'll see.
I just put the past in the past. I can see that the future's vast. This is fresh time, I got humour laughs. Who even cares if a rumour starts? Never been chasing the charts, always been chasing my dreams. So I'm racing the stars, erasing the scene when I spit in my bars.
I don't know if I'm in frame here. That was almost me on my ass. I don't have got enough with the 7200 because I've got like 200 shots already. Just trying to get that cinematograph. I think it might not have worked as well as I thought, but I'll give it a go when I'm home. Anyway, I'm going to switch over to the 50mm and then I'm going to switch over to the 20mm and just try and get a few wide angle shots and a few mid shots and just see what else I can do at this spot basically before before the parking runs out that we paid for.
It was all a dream way back when we were young, nothing mattered back then. Now I'm sitting here far from the carefree ways of our past days, trying to make change with a pen. Can't lie, but it brought pain what you said. It's hard to try, fake it or lie and pretend.
Okay, so obviously we found the location. I tried to get the dolly zoom thing that I was going for, and I don't really think it turned out quite like I hoped, but I did get some cool shots at the spot anyway because it was obviously like a pretty unique little spot there. So because it's such a nice day outside now, we are going to go enjoy our very last day of freedom by just going for a bit more of a walk along the beach and taking some photos and stuff. And I will catch you back at home where I'm going to have a look over the photos that I took in that tunnel and see if I can put together that cinematograph that I was after. So see you then. Nice. Okay, so I'm back home now. It's actually the next day. Today is the 9th of July, which means today is when the second lockdown has started. I have just copied the photos over from yesterday, so in total I took about just short of 580 photos, so I took 574 all up. But I've just gone through and chosen the ones that I think actually would work for the zoom thing that I was trying to do, like the dolly zoom sort of cinematograph thing. As well as a couple of other ones that I thought were just cool shots. I had so many attempts at that zoom thing, like trying to get the photos right. But I think what I noticed was really difficult was just keeping the framing consistent. Like being able to actually just make sure that Hannah was in the same spot, like every time I took the photo, was really difficult. I think especially with the 72-200, it's like every little movement that you make when you're holding the lens, obviously, you see so much because obviously it's quite zoomed in. It's like the tiniest handshake already shifts the frame of the photo by like however much. So after taking the photos on that lens, I actually switched over to my wide angle, which I usually use to film, which is on right now, and had another go at trying to get that like zoom effect with that, and I think it actually almost turned out better, to be honest. But I'm gonna have a look through the photos again now. So as you can see at the bottom here, in my develop thing on Lightroom, there are a lot of photos just from that tunnel still. It's gonna take me a while, I think, just to figure out how to actually edit these to make them look good, and then figure out which ones to put together into a video and how many I actually need to make like that zoom effect look half decent. Basically, the point of the dolly zoom thing is where like the subject stays the same size or as close to the same size as possible, and the background basically becomes more or less compressed based on your zoom. So obviously the more zoomed in you are, the more compressed everything becomes, and you sort of have less separation between like foreground and background. And then as you zoom out, in this case from 200 down to 70, you end up with obviously a wider image, which means that the subject, in this case Hannah, seems like she's a lot further away from the background than when she's zoomed in at 200mm. So hopefully that makes sense. So the difficult thing is going to be to make sure that I can get them somewhat smooth and like get each shot framed roughly the same, so that when I line them up into a video, it's not like jumping around all over the place, even though it obviously will be based on just how these look now. Okay, so hopefully that explanation of what I was trying to do makes sense, but now I'm going to jump into actually editing the photos. So I reckon I'll start with this one here, which wasn't actually the first, like the most zoomed in shot that I took. This is actually at 175mm, you can see up here, so it wasn't zoomed in all the way. But the 200mm shot, I think the framing is just not that great. Like Hannah's way too far off. And I think I am just gonna do this as a speed edit, to be honest, because I'm sure you know what you're doing with Lightroom. You don't need me to go through and explain what every slider does. Okay, so I've just gone through and obviously done that as a relatively quick edit, but I think for the sake of doing the cinematograph, obviously the focus isn't on the photo itself, it's more on the motion of what's going on in the photo, like a bit of the movement. So anyway, this is the before and after, just quickly. Obviously the before is quite dark, I just brightened it up a bit, made the blues a little bit more turquoisey, teal coloured, and then changed the colour of Hannah's scarf and just brightened things up a little bit. Nothing too extravagant there, but I'm going to just copy and paste all that edit onto every other photo that I need to put into that video. So everything except the crop and the transform, which I haven't done anyway, but I will do shortly. So I'm going to go through, paste these in, and then I'll chuck the video together. Okay, so I went through and put all of these photos into a timeline and put each one up for about 0.1 of a second, so that hopefully like when it plays through them, they're relatively quick, but you can still see each photo and it's not just like blur. I have to say, I was very right with like the problem of each photo not being framed the same, because if I play this for you, you'll see very quickly what I mean with the photos not being framed the same. So obviously the background separation and like the compression sort of effect has worked pretty well, I think. Like Hannah is basically the same size in each photo and the background is like zooming in and out, but obviously there's a lot of shake going on with like just me holding the camera and not keeping it straight. But overall, I think it's kind of cool still. What I might do is actually just go back over these photos in Lightroom and try to crop them, or like, yeah, basically crop or like straighten, whatever, use that distortion thing just to try and get them to be a bit more even, and then have another go at editing that video together. Okay, so after that initial cinematograph with the zoom didn't really work out the way that I thought it would, and wasn't really, like, it was cool, but it wasn't what I was really after. But after I did that, I decided to jump back into Lightroom and take this photo here. That's just Hannah leaning against the side of the tunnel, and the sort of the tunnel just leading off into the distance. I thought it was kind of a cool shot, rather than just having her in the center. It's sort of like leads you, I don't know, like I just chose this shot because it just worked well for what I was doing as well. So on Lightroom now, if you've updated to the newest version, you can use the brush tool on the side to basically color in like any section of your photo and then change that section's color. So it just detects which color is the main color of that part of the photo. So for example, if you have like an orange hoodie on or something, for example, you can color that all in with the brush tool and then use a slider to adjust the color. Anyway, what I did was just color in this entire blue part of this image, which is a lot of it obviously, like basically the whole tunnel. And then I would adjust it by 10 on like the slider every time, so just -10, save the image, export it, whatever, -20, save it, export it, and then so on until I'd gone all the way through the entire color spectrum, and then decided to put it into a cinematograph like that. And honestly, I'm much happier with the results in this one than the first one. So I'll play that for you right now. So, as you can see, it basically just loops around through all the different colors. There's obviously a few tiny little spots that I probably went over a little bit too much just on Hannah here on the back of her jumper and stuff, and up here at the back of her hair you can sort of see sometimes that the color like overlaps a little bit funny. Same with on the side here, but honestly, all in all, I'm much happy with this. I reckon this looks awesome, and I'm probably going to post this one tonight or sometime soon. Even though it wasn't really what I set out to do, I think that this one turned out really, really well, and I'm very happy that I decided to go back into Lightroom and just have another go at doing this. So if you use Lightroom and you've updated to the newest version, be sure to have a mess around with that new color sliding feature, because it is sick. You can do a lot of cool stuff with this, and I definitely will be in the future still. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there for now, so hopefully you've enjoyed watching me do this, and you've enjoyed seeing the cinemagraphs that I made. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, because I'm going to be posting a few more videos in the coming weeks now that I have like all the time in the world basically. And be sure to check out my Instagram, which I've now changed. It is @JonasWilson_. I'll put that on the screen here, or I'll put it in the description, or both. I'll be posting the cinemagraph as well as some photos, as well as obviously other photos and stuff that I don't necessarily film. So yeah, hopefully I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.